Okay, so Casey here, we were just talking about, he says, hey, what are you using holster-wise? How do you carry it? Just that typical discussion that we all like to have. So you do the Appendix thing.
I'm a big proponent of the Appendix. I wasn't always, and I fought it for a while. It was actually an outgrowth of being in a car accident and having an injury that prevented me from carrying, behind the hip where I was accustomed to. And rather than leave my gun at home, okay, I'll jump on the Appendix carry bandwagon. And it took probably a solid month, maybe a month and a half before I was really committed to it. But, I've been carrying it that way for about a year and a half now. And for me and my body type, and that's a big key, is,
yeah, I think so too.
Me and my body type, it fits me and my lifestyle. I don't have to thread my holster through my belt. I just have it through, basically, it's like a trigger guard holster with one single loop on it. I don't have to thread my belt through it. I literally just shove it down my pants and cover it up.
Let me ask you, so we were just barely talking, so I did a kind of an Appendix carry. It's certainly a cheaper holster to try it out, but it sits a lot lower, and quite honestly, it can get very uncomfortable sometimes. Do you find that at all? Guys, what I'm talking about is my junk competing with the barrel of the gun.
Well, see, I've got room for a full-size gun down there. Most real men don't.
But do you?
No, but seriously, at first I really struggled with it.
You just kind of figure it out.
Just kind of figure it out. There's guys that'll actually carry it just dead center.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
That's what I noticed. Yours is off to the side, just
I carry mine
just
off
a
the
hair.
side, and it's canted a little bit, so the slide in the barrel is actually more into my thigh than it is into my crotch.
Okay, what about sitting down driving?
That's where it's really awesome. In fact, I was actually just about to say, what kind of sold me on it was shortly afterwards, I took a long road trip, and I was really hesitant about carrying it that way. In fact, I was just going to throw it in my messenger bag. And I thought, no, I'm going to go ahead and try it. If I need to take it out, I can. And it was about a 12 or 1,300 mile or so road trip, and I never even knew it was there. It didn't bother me. Getting in and out of vehicles is a non-issue. About the only thing that I find where you have to kind of be careful is bending down and squatting. You kind of, when you squat, you don't just bend straight down. You kind of have to flare your leg out a little bit, just because it pushes the gun up into your, into your stomach. Yeah. If you're a little, if you're a little bit bigger, it can be a bit of a problem. If you have an investment.
Yeah, and it's a small investment, but it's an investment.
But even then, like I've seen guys. In fact, one of the guys I attended a class with, he's a big dude, and he didn't really have a problem with it.
He rolls with it. I think a lot of it is just kind of figuring out the ins and outs of wherever you put it.
Yeah,
it's figuring out the ins and outs of it.
It is, and for me, my body type. I mean, basically a full-size Glock 17, and now typically I carry a 19, but just for today's sake, we've got the 17, and it's gone. And I don't really have to worry about printing, bending over. No one's gonna see it behind my back.
Yeah, that butt sticking out.
Yeah. So, for me, I really like it.
See, I've just, that 3 o'clock position for me, 4 o'clock position, I love it.
Yeah.
But as we were talking earlier, during those summer months, you can scale it down. I choose the XDS, so it's a lot thinner, it's a lot smaller, you're not getting that butt sticking out as much, but it's still kind of hard.
Yeah. Now
I can get a shirt size that's 4 sizes bigger, and that'll help.
And then you look like you grew up in East LA.
That's right. So yeah, I've honestly thought about the Appendix thing and thought, oh, maybe I'll try it at some point. I need to get a good holster. The holster that I have for that, it's not so much Appendix carry as I would call it, like a deep carry option.
Yeah.
And honestly, I do find it comes in handy on occasion for certain situations. For example, one, I went to an amusement park. I'm not going to say which one because I'm sure I'm probably not supposed to bring it there. But starts with an L. You local guys know what I'm talking about. But I wanted to have a gun on me. And so I use that, and for going on all the rides where your shirt might be popping up, you know, honestly, it was a great option.
Yeah.
It really helped. I didn't have to worry about the shirt popping up, the gun showing, that whole deal.
Well, and another thing that I find, you know, for all, where do we spend most of our time? In our cars.
Yeah.
Think about it.
A lot of time in the cars.
And it's, for me anyways, it's a lot easier for me to get to it right here if I'm sitting down in my car, as opposed to trying to reach around, possibly have to mess with a seat belt and things like that, where I just pull my shirt up and it's right there.
Which I would say, regardless of how you carry, you need to practice in your car.
Absolutely.
You got a vid on it.
Yeah. You know, you have to, because I know I spend 3 hours a day at least in my vehicles. And some people more, you know, depending on where you live. That could just be your commute. So
where did you carry before?
I would alternate depending on what I was carrying in the time of year, but most of the time it was that 4 o'clock position behind the hip. If I was wearing a jacket, like the winter time, I would carry outside at 3 o'clock, outside the waistband at 3 o'clock. If I was wearing a jacket, because for me, you know,
I love the jacket weather, man. So much easier to,
way easier.
Yeah,
you know.
But that's where I'm at right now, is the inside the waistband. That's what I favor. It's just easier to hide. Like you said, though, when it comes time for the jacket weather, the heavy clothing weather, it's a little easier to outside, because outside the waistband to me is it's more comfortable.
Well, hands down.
But inside, honestly, inside the waistband doesn't bother me. But for me, and I think probably most watching this video can understand it, is my commitment level and desire to carry outweighs the
comfort portion of it.
Right. So I know it's there, but it doesn't bother me.
Well, I think like Clint Smith, he said, his quote is awesome. It's supposed to be comforting, not comfortable. Not comfortable. You know, and he's right. You know, now I do believe you can achieve a certain level of comfort.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly where I'm at.
And I encourage anybody who carries a gun to find that that level of comfort, so they're encouraged to carry. If this was uncomfortable, I wouldn't carry it. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to carry my Smith & Wesson 686.
Yeah,
it's just too big, too heavy. I mean, come on. But yeah, so there's that certain level of comfort you can achieve. You're always, well, you're most of the time going to notice it's there.
Oh yeah.
But what else were we talking about on? Oh well, so the holsters. Just what kind of holsters you typically like?
I like Kydex. You know, the debates. Well, it wears out. You know, where's the finish on your gun? Let me tell you, any holster is going to wear the finish on your gun. My gun's a tool.
Yep.
Okay, it's not a showpiece. My showpieces are in my safe. I really like Raven Concealment. There are a ton of awesome Kydex manufacturers out there. Raven Concealment's not the only one, but they simply work. You can beat them to death. They've got excellent customer service.
How much is that holster, do you know?
This was about 80 bucks shipped.
Okay.
They do make a light bearing version for whatever light you run. That's, I want to say, about $90 to $100. It's a little bit more. But the cool thing is you can run these outside the waistband, like I've got these belt loops here, or you can use these soft loops, and you can actually run them inside the waistband if you want. And these rivets are hollowed out, so you can pretty much mount it wherever you want it. Good one-handed holstering, and for you tactical nerds out there that like to rack your gun off your holsters, because it's like the awesome thing to do. You're built for that.
Kind of is, yeah.
So, but I really like Raven Concealment, but they're not the only option. It's just what I found that works for me.
I've got a pair of, let's see, Ameriglows on my Glock 19. So they're the fiber optic and tritium combination. Absolutely love them. But I did just pick up a set of Ameriglows, and it's got the U-notch for the rear sight, and it's got an orange front sight, an orange painted front sight with a tritium insert in that. It's the IDOT system. I haven't used them yet, but that's what you're running. You love it.
I absolutely love it. I'm on a 19. Now, when I get my 19 back, those sights will no longer be on that gun because I'm having it sent out for some other work. But I really like a dot on top of a dot. I don't typically like 3 dots in a row because it's really easy, especially in like a no light or a low light situation. You might index your weapon thinking you've got 3 dots lined up, but your front sight, instead of it being in between your rear sight notch, it's actually off to the side, and you still lined up 3 dots, but you didn't line in your front sight in between your rear sight notch. So I personally don't like 3 dots.
See, I like 3 dots, but I don't know. I have to be honest with myself. What have I always shot?
We've always
3 dots,
and that's how we all kind of grow up. And I fought that for a long time. No, I like 3 dots. I like 3 dots. Until I picked up a gun with a black rear sight and a fiber optic front sight, and then I was sold. And that's pretty much how I run most of my guns now. Is I run a blackout rear with a bright red, basically like a fireball front fiber optic sight.
So when I got my XDS and it's got the fiber optic front, the orange, I pulled that sight picture up. So two white dots in the back, so it is your 3 dot. But that orange front, I went, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
So that's with the Ameriglows. That's one, I'm stepping out of the comfort level of what I've always known, but I'm also putting in there that orange that I really like for that front sight.
Yeah. And
I'm willing to try something new for kind of what you discussed. And yeah, maybe I don't like it. Maybe I do. Regardless, at least I'll know.
Yeah, you'll know. And for me, I do a lot of rifle shooting. I shoot my ARs a lot, and dot on my, the dot on my optics red. So having the consistency, for me, I'm always looking for a red dot.
Yeah.
So having a red fiber optic front sight, for me, it's just consistency. My eye's used to seeing that. It's what it can track it a lot easier. But I'm also blind in one eye, and my good eye isn't that good. So it's harder for me to line up 3 dots, and it's harder for me to get a good sight picture. I need something that stands out. Which
again goes back to every system is tailored to the individual and
oh yeah, it's so personal.
What they like, or what your eyes, what their challenges might be.
And that's the thing most people don't understand. A lot of times people just go buy a gun and shove it in their pants and they walk away.
Yes.
It's so personal.
Yes. Yeah. And what's really cool is right now the market, there's so much stuff out there.
Finally, well, that's just it. They're finally realizing that it's personal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost over flooded at times, the market.
Yeah, it can be.
But I like that there's a lot of options for just about everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. We'll call that one.
Cool.
Those are fun videos.
They are fun. I'm really